Hello everyone, welcome to the editorial analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 17th February 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing today. The first article, the Panchayati Raj movement is in distress. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. The second article, the imbalance of power, the article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express. The first article, we will be discussing what are the challenges faced by the Panchayat Raj system in India, and then we will also discuss some of the possible solutions that we can write while answering a mains answer question. And the next article, the imbalance of power, which is talking about the Trump-Modi summit, which was held on February 13. And in this topic, we will be discussing what are the key outcomes of this Modi-Trump summit and how this is going to impact the US and India in various fields in the coming days. So without much delay, let's get into our discussion with the first article. We know that on February 13, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Oval Office and met President Donald Trump. And this was the most anticipated bilateral meeting since the US presidential election. The entire global community was waiting for them. And in this context, we have a news article from the newspaper Indian Express titled as Imbalance of Power, which is talking about the power imbalance within the Trump-Modi summit. The article is arguing that even though certain benefits India got from the Trump-Modi summit, US got more benefits than India. And in this context, we are going to see what were the key outcomes and major discussions in the Trump-Modi summit and how this is going to impact the India and the United States in the coming days in various fields. So first, we are going to see the important topics of discussion in the Trump-Modi summit. First major area of discussion was related to the economy and economic relations and the trade relations. In the bilateral trade relation, we know that India and the United States were great trading partners, and United States is the biggest trading partner for India, and the current bilateral trade value is standing at $129 billion. And after this meeting, both nations are committed to achieve bilateral trade worth of $500 billion by 2030, that is within 5 years. And the next area of discussion was the tariff. We know that since independence, the Indian government always tries to protect the domestic manufacturing units through imposing heavy duty on imported goods. And here the United States administration tried maximum to reduce the tariff duty, but finally India got victory here, and the United States president slightly criticized the Indian tariff policy and also referred the Indian Prime Minister as tariff king. And in the field of energy trade, India committed to increase energy trade relation with the United States, especially in the field of oil and gas, to ensure energy security and reduce trade deficit. And the next area of discussion was defense and security, and this was the biggest highlight of the Trump-Modi summit. And the biggest achievement was the potential. US agreed to trade fighter jet F-35 to India, and also agreed to co-manufacture Predator drones and Striker, an armed vehicle used to fight on land. And the Predator drone, we know that the famous one is MQ-9B, and this drone is used for border surveillance. And the Indo-Pacific was another area of discussion, and both nations agreed to enhance the security cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region to ensure balance of power and reduce the Chinese influence. And extradition agreement was another area of discussion, that is exchanging culprits or prisoners. And here the biggest achievement was the United States president agreed to hand over the Tahir Hussein Rana. He was accused in the 2008 Mumbai terror attack. And illegal migration was another area of discussion, and recently we know that the United States deportation policy, they are deporting illegal migrants on a large scale to different parts of the world, and it also welcomed the trade war between United States and various other nations. And in here, the India accepted to cooperate with the United States, and India also accepted to welcome all the illegal migrants returned by the United States administration. And in the field of space, Modi held talk with Elon Musk, and this will enhance the future space collaboration between India and the United States. And the next area of discussion was education, and recently we know that the government of Kerala, they agreed with the private university bill. And hereafter you can see a lot of universities will be starting their campuses and institutions in India. And here US also agreed to start campuses of many US universities in India. And now we are going to see the impact, how this Modi-Trump summit will impact the India and United States in various fields. First, we are going to see the economic impact on India. So broadening or boosting the investment. So increased US investment in manufacturing and semiconductors. So this will benefit India. For example, the Micron Technology, this is a US firm, and they announced a semiconductor manufacturing facility in Gujarat. And the next tariff, and US agreed to lower tariff on Indian exports, particularly textile and steel and aluminium. And the supply chain disruption, because we recently know that China started using supply chain disruption as a weapon discourage the Indian manufacturing units. And for example, recently China banned certain their engineers and technicians working in Apple and other important firms. Here, both the United States and India agreed to strengthen the Indo-Pacific economic framework. And this Indo-Pacific economic framework, we know that it was signed in the year 2022. It is an initiative or a framework signed between the United States and various other nations in the Indo-Pacific region to enhance trade relation and enhance stability in the Indo-Pacific region. And here, the United States agreed to strengthen the Indo-Pacific economic framework with India to reduce the influence of China, or to reduce India's reliance on China. And the next area of benefit will be MSME and digital sector. And the US partnership for US agreed to support partnerships for startups and other MSMEs from India. For example, the Google is collaborating with the National Payment Corporation of India. This will expand the scope of UPI, that is Unified Payment Interference, in Europe and other Western areas. And the next area of benefit will be energy. We know that India is committed to enhance energy trade with the United States, particularly in oil and gas. This will enhance energy security for India as well. And coming to the economic impact on United States, first one is the more opportunities in the market, that is access to Indian digital and consumer markets. Particularly, we know that Tesla and Apple, they have manufacturing units in India. And jobs, Indian IT investment creates US tech opportunities. And the next is trade deficit, and this can be reduced via defense and energy cooperation. And the next is supply chain. Next is supply chain, that is both the United States and India are agreed to reduce the trade deficit through cooperating in the field of defense and energy. And here, we can see that in the case of rare earth minerals, so recently rare earth minerals, they have a high value for because of their wide applications. And in the Modi-Trump summit, both nations launched a new initiative called the Strategic Mineral Recovery Initiative, which is particularly focusing on enhancing the cooperation in the field of rare earth minerals. And the next is agriculture. So India East restrictions will benefit the US agrarian products in the Indian market. And coming to the strategic and defense, how this is going to impact, how this Modi-Trump summit will impact the strategic and defense cooperation between India and the United States. First is modernization. That means India will get access to various US defense technologies. For example, recently the memorandum of understanding was signed between the India and United States, and that that paved way for HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, to cooperate in the field of jet energy technology with the United States. And the next is defense dependence. That is, we know that US is the biggest trading partner for India, but the largest defense partner for India is always Russia. Therefore, this Modi-Trump summit enhanced the cooperation in the field of defense and military. Therefore, we can reduce reliance on Russian defense equipment. For example, MQ-9B drones. So, potential sale of F-35 was mentioned in the Modi-Trump summit, and they also agreed to co-manufacture MQ-9B Predator drones, which will be very useful for border surveillance and all. So this will automatically reduce dependence on Russian equipments. And the next is Indo-Pacific. US will support India in the Chinese domination in the Indo-Pacific region through strengthening the Indo-Pacific economic framework and all we discussed in the previous slide. And in this Modi-Trump meeting, Trump also asked about how India-China relation is going on. And recently we know that followed by the Galvan Valley incident, even though there was a strained relation between India and China, recently we saw certain improvement in the Indo-China relationship. And Modi also asked, and Mr. Trump also asked about the Bangladesh political crisis, and gave complete responsibility to India related to that. And the next is logistics. This meeting will also pave way for expanding military logistics between two nations. For example, we signed the logistics exchange memorandum of understanding with the United States. And the next is Intel and cyber enhanced counter-terrorism and cyber security cooperation. For example, we can see that the extradition of Mr. Rana can be also considered as a cooperation between India and the United States in the field of counter-terrorism. So here you can see the picture of the MQ-9B Predator drone. You can go through this slide. These are the important features of the drone, and this is useful for border surveillance. And coming to the strategic defense impact on United States, market. So it will this summit will pave way for expanding the US defense market. And the next is countering China's influence. We know that currently the biggest powers, global powers, are United States and China, and therefore this will global level, this will bring a balance of power. And the next is cooperation. So arms co-production and agreements, like I mentioned before, co-production of Striker and MQ-9B Predator drones and all. And Quad reinforced, that means we know that both India and the United States are members of Quad alliance as well. So there is a rumor that next year India will host the Quad summit. And the next is military footprint. That means through enhancing the relationship in the Indo-Pacific region, definitely in the future the United States can get military presence, their military presence in the Indian Ocean region as well, because recently they are getting access to the islands in Andaman and Nicobar. And the next is technological and digital impact. So how this is going to bring cooperation between India and the United States in the technology and digital infrastructure, and how this is going to impact India. So first we are going to see the artificial intelligence and quantum computing. And in the summit, both the United States and the India brought an initiative called the Trust Initiative. And this Trust Initiative is exclusively focusing on emerging technologies like quantum computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning and all. And the semiconductors, that is US support for hub creation in India. For example, the Micron technology, they announced the semiconductor facility in the in Gujarat. And the next is data security collaboration in the field of cyber security, and US support for 5G and other technologies. This will also benefit India. And space. So, like I mentioned, Mr. Narendra Modi met Mr. Elon Musk, and this will pave way for. We believe that this will pave way for future collaboration in the field of space. And we know that the biggest collaboration of the coming days will be for NISAR, that is NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar mission. And this mission is a collaboration between ISRO and NASA. And this will, we expected the launch of NISAR last year, but so far no update. And maybe in the coming days we will get update related to NISAR. And NISAR will be very useful for disaster management, especially landslide and all. So the biggest feature of this NISAR satellite is that it can even spot a slight movement in the Himalayan region. We know that Himalayan region is highly sensitive and it is a high risk zone for landslides and all. So once we launch the satellites, this will enhance the security in the Himalayan region against natural disasters like landslide and flood. So this is NISAR, that is NASA ISRO SAR mission, or Synthetic Aperture Radar mission. This is a model of satellite. And technological and digital impact on United States. Talent, that we know that India has a huge human resource with a good youth population. Therefore, US can access the Indian youth population and human resource. And the next is supply chain. India has an alternative to China, because even though the China and the United States, there is a trade war or some type of strained relation between the superpowers. If you take the the data, you can see US companies are the third biggest MNCs in China. And here, if US can strengthen relation with India, definitely US can start more companies in India and can reduce dependence on China. And the next is the field of cyber security. So joint efforts against cyber threats, and also cooperation in the field of counter terrorism. And cloud infrastructure. US can invest in the Indian cloud infrastructure. And space, NASA ISRO collaboration for lunar mission, and for example this NISAR and all. This will also benefit both nations in the field of space. And coming to the social and immigration impact on India, relaxation of visas, that is H1B norms will be relaxed, and this will be useful for the Indian professionals in United States. And diaspora, we know that followed by the Mexicans, El Salvador, India is the third largest diaspora in the United States with a population of 4.3 million. And this visit will enhance the US India tie and will also benefit the diaspora community in the United States. And next is startup. US will fund the startup ideas in India and other innovative ideas in India. And education, university partnership, that is student exchange program, cultural programs, and followed by that the United States universities can start campuses in India. And leadership, we can see recently many Indian origin leaders came to US administrative officers and in various important positions of different political parties in United States as well. So how this is going to impact in United States? First one is demographic benefits for United States. That is, United States can get access to the resource and the potential of Indian and the skill of Indian youth population and workforce. We know that Indian workforce are very skilled, and at the same time they are contributing a lot to the IT sector, and it ties people to people, stronger people to people ties. That is in the case of diaspora, it is the best example. And the next is healthcare, cooperation in pharma and healthcare. We know that India is known for export of pharmaceutical equipments and medicines. And the next is culture, growing popularity of the Indian culture in United States, not only in United States, across Canada and in the Western Hemisphere. You can see the growing popularity of the Indian culture, and this will be further protected and strengthened this through these kind of high leader summits. And when you say that the cultural cooperation, what will be the use of this cultural cooperation? The cultural cooperation plays a very important role in strengthening tie between two nations, because the cultural cooperation, in another sense, it is also known as soft power cooperation. So the soft power cooperation even has a potential to decide the political dynamics of a nation, and that's why the Indian community became a major part of discussion during the time of United States presidential election. So in this topic, we discussed the Modi-Trump summit and what were the key outcomes and how this is going to impact. This Trump-Modi summit will impact various fields of India and the United States. And based on our discussion, try to answer this mains practice question. The question is, analyze the key outcomes of the recent Modi-Trump summit and its impact on India-US ties in trade, defense, technology and immigration. How does the power dynamic affect India's strategic interest? And this question is a 15 marks question, and you have to write around 250 words. Write the answer for this question and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. The Panchayati Raj movement is in distress. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about the challenges faced by the Panchayati Raj system in India. And in this context, we are going to see the evolution of the Panchayati Raj system and what are the challenges faced by the Indian Panchayati Raj system. So coming to the introduction, we know that the Panchayati Raj system is established through the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992. And along with this, there was another act, that was 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which established the municipalities, right? And we have already done a video about the municipalities in India and the urban local bodies in one of our previous videos in the month of December, and the link for that video will be given in the description. You can watch that video as well. And what was the objective of this 73rd Constitutional Amendment? Is ensuring the democratic decentralization of authority and giving constitutional status to the local self-governments. So in that video also I discussed what was the importance of the local self-governments, right? Because it has direct contact with the people, so people can access the government directly. For example, if you have any small issue, for example, you are facing drinking water problem in your area, then immediately you can approach the ward member or the ward councillor, so he or she will take proper measures to resolve the problem, right? So this kind of addressing the day-to-day issues in people's life, the Panchayat Raj system or the local self-government system plays a very important role. And coming to the evolution of the Panchayat Raj system in India, in the ancient India, the Panchayat Raj systems or the similar administrative units were mentioned as Sabhas, Samadhis or Grama Sanghas, and they were known for their local self-governance. And village autonomy was another feature of the ancient India, and it was it existed in Vedic, Mauryan and Guptan periods. And even though the Mauryan administration was somewhat centralized, but the city administration and the village administration of the Mauryan Empire was known for its autonomy, and that was the similar case of Guptas as well. And in those days, the head of the village were known as Gramika or Gramini, and we know that the village was the important and the smallest administrative unit, where the family was the smallest social unit. And coming to the medieval times, during the time of Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal rule, there was a decline of the local government systems in India. But still, you can see that in village level or in the remote areas, the informal panchayat system persisted, and the village headman of during the time of medieval India were known as Mukdam. And coming to the British era, you can see the beginning of the British time, there was an inclination towards centralized nature of administration. But in the year 1640, the British purchased Madras, and in the year 1688, in Madras, the British established the first municipal corporation, and followed by that in Calcutta and Bombay, also established municipal corporations. And in 1860s, during the time of Lord Mayo resolution was known for financial decentralization, and Rippon's resolution of 1880 was a first modern step towards the local self-government, and that's why Lord Ripon is known as the father of Indian local self-government. And certain acts followed by the Ripon resolution, for example, the 1919 Government of India Act, which empowered the local bodies and gave more power to the provinces, and in 1935 also did the same, and it also it supported the local bodies with a limited power. And coming to the post-independence time, the local self-governance fulfills the Gandhi's vision of Gram Swaraj, that is self-sufficient villages. We know that according to Gandhi, the soul of India lies in the villages, and that's why the Indian government is supporting the local self-government. That is one of the reasons. And later, the Community Development Program of 1952 and the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee of 1957 also supported the three-tier Panchayat Raj model, and the first structured Panchayat Raj system was established in the state of Rajasthan. And finally, in the year 1878, the Ashok Mehta Committee's recommendation paved the way for the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which finally established the local Panchayat Raj. And coming to the current challenges faced by the Panchayat Raj system in India, the first major issue is the administrative constraints. That means even though the 73rd Amendment gives more constitutional power to the Panchayat Raj system or local self-government, but in practice it was not like that. Because if you consider the CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General report of 2024, nearly 66% of the Indian urban local bodies are facing the problem of delayed election and reluctance to delegate staff and responsibilities, and next is the excessive bureaucratic control. These are the major administrative constraints faced by the Panchayat Raj system in India. And the next major issue is of financial constraints, that includes reduced direct fund transfer, that is reduced direct fund from central government to Panchayat Raj system. That is always the fund will reach the state government, and then the state government only will distribute the fund to the Panchayat Raj, and the next or to the local self government. And followed by the 15th Finance Commission, the grant for the local self government got cut from 85 to 60%, and therefore now the Panchayat Raj system has to depend more on central and state fund. And you can also see for a lot of welfare programs and for a lot of infrastructure programs, still the state and center are controlling the funds. And the next is the erosion of political autonomy. This is because of the politicization of the Panchayat, because the Panchayat should be independent local bodies. That means they have to address the day-to-day issues faced by the people in the society. But you can see in the recent times there is an increase of politicization of Panchayat, and therefore this will affect the democratic function and the decision making of Panchayat Raj system in India. And the next is the lack of enforcement of the 11th schedule, which is the 11th schedule talks about the subjects of list comes under the Panchayat Raj system, and still you can see the 11th schedule is not properly enforced. So next impact was due to the urbanization. We know that according to the prediction of the United Nations, by 2050, nearly 50% of the world population will be living in urban area. And you have to know that India is a home to 1.4 billion people, and we have a big plan for urbanization in the coming days. And you can see in the case of urbanization, how the urbanization impacted the rural governance. Between 1990 to today, nearly the rural population got declined from 75% to 60%. So you can see a trend of rural to urban migration, and this eventually diminishes the role and the strength of the rural governance. And what are the possible solutions that you can address while you are writing a mains answer? The first one is the administrative reforms, that is proper implementation of the 11th schedule, decentralizing key governance functions to the Panchayat Raj system, and strengthening the finance of the Panchayat Raj system, that is taking measures to ensure direct fund transfer to the Panchayat Raj. And next is the strengthening local revenue sources through enhancing property taxation and the use of E&O. And next is transparent auditing mechanism to ensure that the funds allocated to the Panchayat system are properly utilized. And the next is political and electoral reforms, that is reducing the political interference in the Panchayat Raj system. We know that politicization will affect the impartial decision making, and promoting independent grassroots leadership, because they only can address the problem more democratically and take democratic decisions. And the next is technology for governance, that is expanding e-governance and digital infrastructure to the Panchayat Raj system, and citizen engagement platforms for enhancing the accountability of the Panchayat Raj system, and expanding the role of Panchayat Raj system, that is enhancing the role of Panchayat Raj system in migration support, rural risk management, and measures to build climate resilience. and also enhancing Panchayat Raj as a body of decision making in disaster management, social welfare, and economic development will also strengthen the position of Panchayat Raj system in India. So these are the possible solutions that you can address while you're writing a mains answer. So in this topic, we discussed the evolution of Panchayat Raj system and what are the major issues faced by the Panchayat Raj system, and then we also discussed some of the possible solutions, right? So based on our discussion, try to answer the mains practice question. The question is, despite increased electoral participation, especially among women, why has the Panchayat Raj system struggled to maintain autonomy and effectiveness in the face of financial constraints, administrative reluctance, and urbanization? So it is a 15 marks question and you have to write around 250 words. Post your answer in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your article. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's editorial analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice evening.